You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign. KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
Hi, I'm Mike, founder of DollarShaveClub.com. What is DollarShaveClub.com? Well, for $1 a month, we send high-quality razors right to your door. Yeah, $1. Are the blades any good? No. Our blades are f***ing great. Each razor has stainless steel blades, an aloe vera lubricating strip, and a pivot head. It's so gentle a toddler could use it. And do you like spending $20 a month on brand name razors? 19 go to Roger Federer. I'm good at tennis. And do you think your razor needs a vibrating handle, a flashlight, a back scratcher, and 10 blades? Your handsome-ass grandfather had 1 blade and polio. Looking good, Pop-Up! Stop paying for shave tech you don't need. And stop forgetting to buy your blades every month. Alejandro and I are going to ship them right to you. We're not just selling razors, we're also making new jobs. Alejandro, what were you doing last month?
Not working.
What are you doing now?
Working.
I'm no Vanderbilt, but this train makes hay. So stop forgetting to buy your blades every month and start deciding where you're going to stack all those dollar bills I'm saving you. We are DollarShaveClub.com, and the party is on.
I know karate, I know jiu-jitsu, I drive like a gangster when I'm coming to see you, see you, see you, see you.
Hi, everyone. This is JJ, the co-founder of Good Pods. If you haven't heard of it yet, Good Pods is like Goodreads or Instagram, but for podcasts. It's new, it's social, it's different, and it's growing really fast. There are more than 2 million podcasts, and we know that it is impossible to figure out what to listen to. On Good Pods, you follow your friends and podcasters to see what they like. That is the #1 way to discover new shows and episodes. You can find Good Pods on the web or download the app. Happy listening.
Celebrity designer Jeff Lewis is back with Hollywood House Lift.
I'm excited to be working with new clients.
I'm not getting rid of that.
I hope I never see you both again.
An all-new season.
Those have to go. That has to go.
From oh, wow,
It's been an actual nightmare.
to oh, wow.
This is such an upgrade.
With celebrities like Josh Duhamel, Christina Ricci, and Gina Rodriguez.
Dazzle me, Jeff.
It looks like Chuck E. Cheese.
Stream an all-new season of Hollywood House Lift with Jeff Lewis, now streaming on FriYay.
I am Conor McGregor, multiple weight MMA champion. I'm a fighter and I've been through many battles in the octagon. Many consider my fights in the octagon heroic, but the real life heroes are those men and women who fight to protect us every day. The real life fighters, the real life heroes, are the firefighters and police officers. These first responders are true heroes, because these brave men and women put themselves in the line of danger every single day protecting us all. The Tunnel to Towers Foundation ensures that first responders from fire, EMS and police departments who are killed in the line of duty with young children have a home without the burden of a mortgage. They are my heroes. They need our help today. I'd like to ask you to join me in donating $11 a month to support their efforts. Your $11 a month honours and supports our first responders. Please call now at 1-844-BRAVEST or visit tunneltotowers.org.
The following program contains coarse language and adult themes. Listener discretion is advised.
Cause you're
All right, folks, welcome into the Friday edition of the Rick Robinson Show, better known as the Better Late Than Never FriYay edition of the Rick Robinson Show. We were having some issues at home base, so we're up on about 3/4 of where we normally are. So hope everybody's having a great Friday. For those of you trying to check us out on Live 365, for some reason it's not working right now. But I'm not sure if that's because I was having an internet issue or if it's something else that's going on. But anyway, sad thing is, before everything started going nuts, I had people starting to come into the streaming side, and then I had to shut everything down, and now they're not. So I'm going to have to push everything back out again here in a minute. But anyway, so hope everybody's having a great Friday. We've got lots of stuff we're going to be talking about today. I'm going to try to have a little bit of fun, and since I am working on trying to get some technical issues buttoned up before tonight's broadcast at the same time, because I wasn't expecting these, because everything was working just fine till like 20 minutes ago. We are going to start the show a little bit differently because we have a lot of This Week in Democracy to cover, which is a show put out through YouTube by a good friend of mine, Gene Baradelli. For those of you listening, audio-wise, you're going to get to hear it. If you'd like to watch it, you can always hop on over to Facebook, Twitter, X, Jitter, whatever the hell you want to call it these days, or YouTube or Rumble, while I am working on trying to see if I can figure out why one of the feed accounts that we have is currently not working. We're going to let you guys listen to some of this stuff instead, because why not? It's Friday. We try to have a little bit of fun, and he's put out at least 4 this week, and I haven't covered a single one of them yet. So we're going to go find them, so hang on a second. That's not the one I was looking for, though. I don't know why it defaulted to the oldest one possible. Where's his page? We'll just do this. Hang on. Buffoon of the week. All right, so let's see. Let's pull up his actual page so I can see all of them, and then we'll figure out which one we're going to run with first. So 2 days ago, 3 days ago, 4 days ago. So we'll probably start with the one oldest to newest, I guess, since it looks like he's put out at least 3 that I can see. So I'm going to work on getting that queued up for you guys. Hang out with me for a second while I do. And we'll make it to where the folks that are watching on the streams can see it. That gives me a chance to push everything out again, since I had to start over. And all right, so we're going to pause this for just a second. Bring the volume up.
I raised 5 daughters, and I'll tell you what, women, in my humble opinion, particularly if they're a congresswoman, need to dress respectfully and professionally.
I don't think that I have a comment on his dress code. I'm happy for with my clothing options, and I don't dress for half the tour for the whole tour.
Especially at the theater, right? You're really happy with those options, aren't you?
Ain't nothing new here to see. This ain't nothing but some political maneuvering. America, welcome to the eulogy. Eat it up. It's called political buffoonery.
Hey there, everybody, and welcome to This Week in Democracy, where we showcase some of the dumbest newsmakers of the week. We're taking a break from the Trump New York trial coverage, the conviction on those 34 counts, the wall-to-wall media circus, and the circus happening in the People's Republic of New York City surrounding this trial. I'm sick of talking about it. I'm sure you're sick of hearing about it, especially since that's what everybody was talking about all weekend. There's been no other news really to discuss here. But there are elections happening in 2024 outside of the presidential race that are just as significant, in my opinion. And I'm talking about the race to see who's going to control Congress beyond the 2024 election. Right now, Republicans hold the slimmest of margins in the House of Representatives. And when you have a case like this, every seat in every election matter, especially primary elections, to see who's going to be the nominee from the Republican Party or the Democratic Party running for these seats. Which brings us to Lauren Boebert, who is running for re-election in the the 4th congressional district. She's moving districts from the 3rd that she currently represents into the 4th District, which is seen as a much safer Republican seat.
Carpetbagger.
But she's facing several challenges in a primary happening this week, and the question becomes, does Boebert have too much election baggage to be the nominee for that seat so she can be reelected to Congress? We're going to discuss this in terms of looking at a recent debate that happened in Colorado. But before we get to that debate, please subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of the shows. And if you like what you see and hear in this or any other video on the channel, you guys already know what you got to do. You got to smash that thumbs up button, like, comment, share the show with your friends, all that good stuff, because all that feeds the YouTube algorithm.
Just feed it.
Thank you guys so much for all that you do and helping to grow the channel. I really appreciate that. I'm sure you know that already. We're on the road to 2,000 subscribers, so if you're one of those newbies that happen to find our little political channel, I hope you stick around and subscribe to the channel. I hope this video earns that subscription as we talk about Lauren Boebert and the headwind she is facing towards gaining re-election to the House of Representatives. Boebert faces some significant problems from her own side of the aisle, as highlighted in this debate. We're going to focus on 3 issues that came up during this debate that was held on an NBC affiliate in Colorado. The first issue is whether or not Boebert is a carpetbagger and jeopardizing the chances of keeping a relatively safe Republican seat by moving districts from the 3rd District to the 4th District. Let's see what her answer was concerning her electability from the moderator.
In Colorado's 3rd District, we did have a very close election, but we also had 50,000 Republicans not show up to vote. And maybe it's because those Republicans were frustrated at other elected Republicans who have failing conservative records, who refuse to stand with President Trump, and they felt abandoned statewide and nationwide. But no matter what, this is the time for us to show up and get out the vote. I do not believe me being here is making this a vulnerable seat. This is a huge move for conservatives in Colorado.
So just to be clear, Ms. Boebert, you blame Republican voters for the fact that you nearly lost a safe seat and not your own conduct.
What?
No, I just meant...
Very good question by the moderator. That was sort of some tortured logic there from Boebert, wasn't it? 50,000 Republicans stayed home in her old district, the 3rd District, and made that seat that was relatively safe very close. And she blamed that on wishy-washy Republicans that didn't support Trump? Wasn't Boebert's name the one on the ballot? If they stayed home, if 50,000 Republicans stayed home, maybe that was a sign of displeasure or being disgusted with Lauren Boebert and who she is and what she's done in Congress or what she hasn't done in Congress. Some very tortured logic there, blaming other Republicans for failing to bring out the vote for her election. Kind of weird. Just saying.
When 50,000 Republican voters do not show up and think that their vote does not matter, that does make an impact on elections. That's why we have Get Out the Vote campaigns, and that is why we need to start collecting ballots and follow the rules that have been put in place by Democrats so we can start winning elections again.
I see what she's saying now. She's saying that people didn't turn out in 2022 because they felt like their vote didn't count. They were disenfranchised because of the 2020 election. I get what she's saying here. But again, as a candidate, it's your job to get out the vote. That's literally your one job. So if you're not motivating people to show up to the polls and their own apathy is defeating you essentially, that says something about you as a candidate as well. I get she was blaming other rhinos, maybe she wants to call them Republicans in name only or something like that. But at the end of the day, the buck stops with you. You're the one that's got to bring out the vote. And if you don't do that, then you don't win.
In the 3rd District, I campaigned hard, I governed well, I govern as I campaign. I have bipartisan work, and I have passed more legislation out of the House in this Congress than any other member in the Colorado delegation. I am proud of the work that I've done serving my constituents in the 3rd District and serving the entire state of Colorado.
Nice recovery there. I gotta say, it was a good answer. We're going to talk about her job performance in the next part of the video. But let's hear from some of the other candidates out there that are running against Lauren Boebert.
We're talking about the safest Republican seat in Colorado's congressional delegation. Can you specifically outline for voters what you are talking about when you're referring to Ms. Boebert's drama and divisive antics, and do you really think it could lose a safe seat like this?
I do think it is vulnerable. I think the day of that will never happen in Colorado is long gone. And I think it's time that we have someone in this seat, which is one of the reasons why I'm running, where we can rebuild the party, where we can make it the big tent again. We can invite people to join us, and we can persuade our neighbors that we don't see them as the enemy. We see them as someone we want to represent and help solve the issues that are important to them.
So that candidate wanted to highlight Boebert's baggage that we alluded to in the opening segment. The fact that she is pretty divisive nationally, and that there is a lot of drama surrounding her, as we've covered on the channel before. Let's continue and hear what these candidates have to say.
I want to give Ms. Boebert an opportunity to respond after I ask the rest of you for a show of hands on this question. Who here believes that if Republican primary voters nominate Ms. Boebert, that she could realistically lose in November? Mr. Lynch, Ms. Flora, and Mr. Yu say they believe that she could realistically lose. Mr. Sonnenberg, Mr. Holtorf do not believe that she could realistically lose.
Let me clarify.
November.
I answered the question, so I didn't know.
Okay.
You wanted.
Do you believe that she could lose in November?
It's very possible. Yes.
Okay,
I'm going to raise my hand just to clarify. It's possible.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Boebert. An opportunity to respond to what they've said.
Yes. Well, it's interesting to hear Democrat talking points from my Republican opponents talking about this purge and purify process in the Republican Party. We just want people who are elected who actually represent our values. I have represented almost 30 rural counties in Colorado, and I am seeking to earn the support and votes from 20 more plus Douglas County. And having that on the ground work has shown so much unity in the Republican Party and bringing unaffiliated voters on our side. Having bipartisan legislation, having good governance in Washington, D.C., opening up the House floor for amendments to empower representatives to represent their constituents, and even working with our state's senators to get legislation across the line. I do not believe that I will make this seat vulnerable. This is a Republican district, and they want a Republican who has a 100% conservative voting record, as I do.
Now, this is interesting. This is the tension between partisan purity and pragmatic leadership. Lauren Boebert seems to think that she's the full package here and that she is 100% conservative based upon her record, and that she's also gotten things done. Let's explore that a little bit further. So one of the features of this debate was that candidates got to ask questions of other candidates. This is Richard Holtorf, who is a former member of the state legislature in Colorado, I believe. I believe he was also minority leader in the state house in Colorado. And he has a question for Lauren Boebert concerning that record that she was just touting in the previous segment.
Appreciate the opportunity, and I will take this time to ask a question. In my 5 years in the state house, I passed 38 bills signed by the governor in a majority Democrat House and General Assembly. I know what it means for a bill to be passed and signed by a governor or president. So for Ms. Boebert, how many bills did you prime sponsor? I said 38 I prime sponsored, not co-sponsor, because you can co-sponsor post facto. Anybody can put their name on a bill after it passes. How many bills did you prime sponsor in the U.S. Congress that actually were signed by the President of the United States?
So thank you so much, Richard. You know, it's interesting that you're touting the legislation that you have passed. You also say that you are a no-nonsense conservative. Well, I think the voters back home should know that a no-nonsense conservative should not have a failing Liberty score. We have the Independent Institute who scores representatives for their legislative record. And if you are not voting how you campaign, well, then you get a negative impact. And I'm the only person.
Would you like to answer the question, or would you like to talk about Liberty scores?
And that's the tension I was just alluding to earlier. Getting things done versus partisan purity tests. What's more important to you? Let's make this the topic of the day. Do you want a legislator who's able to pass things, or do you want a legislator that can hold someone's feet to the fire as to the principles that you stand for? it's kind of hard to get both, right? Because you lose something in your pragmatism if you stand up for partisan purity, if you stand up for values and principles rather than getting something passed that may benefit the entirety of your district. Let's talk about that in the comments as we listen to Boebert kind of skip around this question. She's kind of tap dancing around it here. She hasn't alluded to what in her record that she was just talking about previously.
Check the replay.
In the 3rd District, I campaigned hard, I governed well, I govern as I campaign. I have bipartisan work, and I have passed more legislation out of the House in this Congress than any other member in the Colorado delegation.
Answer the question, ma'am. It's
certainly
okay.
will. So,
I asked a very specific question. Please answer.
One of my favorite pieces of legislation that has been signed into law is my Pueblo Jobs Act that creates at least 1,000 jobs in Pueblo, Colorado. We worked to incorporate the BRAC process, so nearly $7 billion in infrastructure would not be bulldozed and go to waste. But there are also many other pieces of legislation that I've passed through the House. And
it doesn't matter if it's passed through the House. If the president doesn't sign it, ma'am,
government, and I'm not going to compromise my principles to just pass a bill
That's time.
that
Thank
does
you very
not
much.
honor.
I would give you one more opportunity if you would like to answer his question, which is the number of bills you've prime-sponsored that have been signed by the president.
So my Pueblo Jobs Act has been signed into law.
A number, please.
That is one.
Got it.
So only one bill passed. Now, to some, that seems like a failure. If you've been in Congress for all this time and you only passed one piece of legislation, then what exactly are you doing here? But it's not that simple. And I'm going to defend Lauren Boebert here a little bit by saying she's been dealing with a Democratic president who's not really looking to help Republicans pass their policy goals. And in passing that one piece of legislation, she did bring money back, but there's also omnibus bills that the president signs, different, budget bills and things like that, that will bring back dollars to the district to fund jobs and fund programs and things like that, that are not necessarily prime sponsored by someone. So Lauren Boebert can point to one accomplishment on her own, but there's been other ones as well, and I think Holtorf knows that. But at the same time, when Lauren Boebert says that her favorite piece of legislation was this Jobs Act, and it turns out to be her only piece of legislation, that's not so great, is it? But listen, we're kind of dancing around the elephant in the room here, and that is Lauren Boebert's baggage from her previous district. We covered it on the show previously, what happened in that theater in Denver, and when we come back from the break, we're going to see how she answers that question in this debate.
This AI tool will take your idea and create a complete book, complete with design, images, layout, everything, including.
I'm going to let Gene get paid, so we're going to let this run because we probably won't take a break this hour since I had a late start.
Content from your blog, from a Google Doc or a Word doc, or even a YouTube, depending on the plan you choose. For now, I'm going to use Word Genie, the AI feature. So all I need to do is give it an idea and then click on next. And then just tell Word Genie what audience am I targeting my book towards. Then it'll just show me a selection of titles, which I'll just choose one that catches my eye. Then it'll suggest the outline for my book, which I'm free to edit as I see fit. And now the magic happens. It will generate the full content of the ebook, ready for me to edit, tweak, and tune. And obviously, I want to make it my own so it comes across and reads really, really well. And so from here now, it's saved as a draft, or I can simply choose a template. And there are hundreds of templates to choose from, and all of these are totally customizable. You can change anything, the images, the style, any of the text, whatever you want. So this one looks perfect for my niche, passion, grit, and success. All these images can be changed once I'm in the editor, and I can see I could do worksheets, I could do all sorts within this template. So now you can see all my content from my draft has been pulled into this template, and all the content's been laid out into single column, double column, images have been put in the right place. But of course, I can now customize and change anything. So if I don't like a chapter heading page, perhaps that image doesn't work for me, I can search my inbuilt image search tool and just select another image, and it will just load it just like that. Any adjustments to the layout, to the style, I can just do with a couple of clicks. On the right, you can see all my navigation there, all laid out. And again, just changing images is just a few clicks, including the layout. If I don't want a double column layout and I want a single column, then I can just change it. And of course, I could do that manually as well, but it's a lot faster to use the inbuilt presets that are all set up because, within a few minutes, I've got my whole ebook all done and ready for publishing. So all that's left now for me to click publish, and it produces this beautiful PDF all ready to go. Or I can just click another button and select Flipbook, and I've got a Flipbook which I can share with my audience. Design is a well-established software company with over 320,000 customers, over 70 countries now. We're the leading ebook designer since 2016. We've won awards. We have hundreds and hundreds of 5-star reviews on Trustpilot, Capterra, GetApp, Software Advice, and all of them. So why not join Designer? Click the link below to learn more.
All right, so I guess now we have to click.
How do celebrities
Now it's
like
gonna go to
Justin
our next-
Bieber and The
You know
Rock
what?
generate hundreds of millions of dollars? It's actually not what you think. They make a special kind of money known as royalties.
My name is Christian Mickelson, and I help everyday people increase their income
You know what, Gene?
online.
I let you get
And
paid
I have
for a
to
little
say,
bit, bro. We
we're
ain't
pretty
doing
darn
another
good
one.
at
That's
it.
a long ad.
My company.
Like what you see so far? Go ahead and smash that thumbs up button. Also, leave us a comment and tell us what you're thinking. And don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another show.
That was about the softest reference that he could have made, but do you want to talk about the theater thing?
The theater thing. Of course, if you don't know what we're talking about here, you can check the video in the upper right-hand corner of the screen where we discuss Lauren Boebert's buffoonery in that theater in Denver where she ended up being thrown out and pulling that "don't you know who I am" nonsense that we hate from all politicians of all stripes. But let's see what Boebert has to say now that we're several months removed from that incident.
Sure. So, Kyle, I certainly have owned up to my night out in Denver, and I've gone on that public apology tour, and I'm grateful for the mercy and grace that has been shown. But I'm not going to continue to live life in shame and be beat up by this. And I would like to go back to my legislative record for just a second.
We're not going to do that. You had plenty of time to answer the question. You chose not to.
Sure.
That's fine. I just want to make sure.
I'll have more time.
You have
Don't
apologized for the theater incident.
I certainly have.
And I just want to make sure. Did you apologize for the behavior that went on with you and your date, or the vaping,
Kyle,
or did you apologize? Or pardon me. Or did you apologize for lying to voters about what you did that night and the disrespect that you showed to service workers that night? What specifically were you apologizing for?
I don't.
Damn! I like this moderator. He's pushing back a lot. He is trying to clarify, okay, so you apologized. Great. What was the apology for? For your behavior, your actions? For lying about your actions? Because as we all know from studying political buffoonery, it's not necessarily the act that people dislike. It's the cover-up after the act that people just can't stand, that you treat them for fools and idiots and buffoons themselves. Lauren Boebert did that in this incident in that theater in Denver. So I'm interested to hear what she has to say about that.
I believe there was disrespect. There were things that were absolutely taken out of context.
There's video of your interactions with service workers. I'm asking,
right,
are you apologizing for the lying to voters
that I
or
flipped
the
someone off, and I did not. So, I mean, I think it's been very mischaracterized. I'm apologizing for you, Kyle Clark, getting footage and releasing that. And people seeing this in a very private moment.
Certainly. It was very important to figure out whether you were telling the truth
you just had
or
an
whether a
interview
public
recently with
agency was
CityCast
lying
Denver.
about your conduct.
You
Either
just had
way was
an
very
interview with
important for
CityCast
folks
Denver,
to
and you were
find
saying
out.
how disgusting it is to record someone without their knowledge.
Let's talk about the use of earmarks in Congress.
You did that very same thing and released it.
Okay, so there's a lot of crosstalk there between the moderator and Lauren Boebert. She called it a private moment. You're out in public, ma'am. There are cameras everywhere. It wasn't a private moment where you were just caught on tape doing something wrong, caught in the act. You're out in public in a building where there are cameras everywhere. Whenever you go out in public, you don't have a right to privacy, especially when you're in a public theater. Certainly there are cameras there everywhere, security cameras around. We know this in our everyday lives. If you didn't know that and you were upset by how you were caught or how you portrayed in that, then maybe you should have acted a little better and this all wouldn't have happened.
Act like you got some goddamn sense, people!
Ultimately, voters will go to the polls and they'll pick whoever they want to. I know that Boebert has been endorsed by both the House Republicans as well as by the Colorado GOP for this particular seat. So she's clearly the front runner here. I don't know if she's going to win, lose, or whatever. I'm not from Colorado. Maybe you guys in Colorado can tell me. but it seems from the outside looking in that she's probably going to be the Republican nominee, only because of her name recognition and her national visibility. But will that same name recognition and national visibility hurt Republicans in the long run as the House clings to a Republican majority? Now, the seat is pretty safe. It's a majority seat that is like unaffiliated, then Republican, then like about 17% Democrat. So I don't expect her to lose necessarily, but man, oh man, is Lauren Boebert's presence making it tough for Republicans to hold on to the House? I leave that for you to discuss in the comments here, which I hope that you will join me in. Please leave a comment about all of this. Let's get into them together. And as always, like and share the video with your friends, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of the shows. Let's talk about whether Lauren Boebert is the best to represent Colorado in Congress and all the other shenanigans and buffoonery happening every day this week in Dumb-mocracy.
All views and opinions expressed here are not necessarily of the mainstream media and may offend some listeners. It's called political buffoonery.
All right, so that concludes our first installment of This Week in Democracy with my good friend Gene Baradelli. Now, some of you may have noticed that he was wearing a Less Government, More Fun t-shirt. This account is someone that I have known personally for quite some time. If you're not following them yet, you probably really should be. Also, if you go to their account and you like the shirt he was wearing, you can get your own. Just to make sure they are less gov, more fun. So you can go find them on X. I believe they're also on Facebook, and they do have a merch page. So I don't usually pimp other people's stuff because we're busily trying to get our own put together, slowly but surely, but we're trying. But for them I will, because I've actually met the guy that runs that account in person at a couple of different CPACs, and he's pretty amazing. We don't talk as much as we used to, but I'm about to get some merch of my own from him for when I change over to doing video myself, because I don't really feel like, at least during the afternoon stuff when I'm doing the whole pundit thing, I'm not going to dress up for camera. I may at some point if I start doing legit news stuff on the other side. I mean, I do have suits and ties for a reason, but I don't know. Now that I don't really have to wear them, I usually try to find excuses not to have to wear them, not reasons to put them back on. All right, so because we're not taking a break, we do have a quick hit on a couple of different things that I wanted to talk about today that are, one of them is just to kind of troll, and the other one is because it's awesome, and as a history buff, I didn't even know this. So if you're following along on Twitter, you may have noticed that the Democrats account put out a misleading story today from supposedly Newsweek, but I can't seem to find any reference to the story anywhere, and they conveniently clipped the date information. So just so you know, in case you're following along, this is what they put out today. As soon as I can actually get to the post itself. Of course it's going to be dumb. All right, so I'll just do the one I quote tweeted instead because it's easier. So they basically screen captured what looks to be a Newsweek headline with Biden standing behind it, and it says Joe Biden suddenly leads Donald Trump in multiple battleground states. And this is from the Democrats' account, which is their official account, by the way, which seems a little weird to me. They did, however, clip the date line, so I went to the Newsweek website, and you know what? Since those of you following along can see this, let me show you what I found, and then we'll go over the next step in this little debacle that the Democrats are bringing upon themselves. So hang on just a second. All right, so those of you following along on the streams should be able to see the Newsweek front page as of now. I'm going to try to scroll slowly, and I apologize in advance if I make anybody feel nauseous. But if you'll notice, on the world section, it says North Korea satellite images show mysterious activity along border. Why President Biden's brother is possible witness in Hunter's gun trial. Republicans tell Supreme Court to rule against Donald Trump. I've not seen that either. U.S. to announce new bold nuclear strategy. So if we keep scrolling down to top stories, Plane crashes in neighborhood. I heard the screaming. Trump's legal troubles are on hold. Biden's are only just beginning. The next Israel-Hezbollah war could be a far greater catastrophe than Gaza. Probably for the idiots trying to start wars with Israel. Oh, wait. Am I editorializing while we're scrolling through these? Yeah, maybe a little. Beyonce gave Supreme Court Justice Ketanji Brown tickets, or Ketanji Brown Jackson tickets. I don't know. I'd have to look into that to see if that's a big story or not. I'm not sure. But if you'll notice, if you're just kind of scrolling through with me, I don't see a single story about Joe Biden suddenly leading in the polls. I looked. I scrolled for days. Now at this point, we're all the way back down to June 6th. I still don't really see anything captured there. Now we're getting into the bottom of the fold, as they used to call it in the newspaper days, as we just keep going and going and going and going. But you may be asking yourself, why does this even matter? Well, it matters because of the screen that I'm about to share with you now. Because this was something that I went and found, and it's actually attached to that very same tweet. So if you'll notice, I'm trying to make it bigger, so I'm hoping it's working. Hang on. And it's working. All right, cool. I'm still learning new equipment, so don't judge me too harshly. Or do. I don't really care. But this is from Real Clear Politics, and it's today. This is an average of everything between June 6th and June 7th. I don't see a single battleground state where Joe Biden is supposedly ahead. Now, I have seen some where the gap is closing. But also at the same time, not too long ago, Biden was actually leading in Wisconsin. Now he's not. Is it within the margin of error? Yes, it is. But if you look at these are the averages. So this is one thing that I like about Real Clear Politics, because the thing about it is, depending on whichever polling site you're looking at, it's kind of like when people pay for research anymore, they typically only wind up paying for the answers that they want. So what RCP does is it takes all the different polls, puts all the information together, and does an average. So as of June 6th to June 7th, taking the average, if you take all of the battleground states, Trump is up 47.9% to Joe Biden's 44.7%. Now, those numbers hold pretty steadily throughout this polling. The ones that are the closest are the ones such as, Wisconsin is well within the margin of error, so that's 0.01. I don't know if you guys can see when I do this or not, but I need to find that out. I need to go back and start reviewing stuff for game films. Then we have 0.03% in Michigan. Now, I would like to remind everyone that Michigan's entire state house just flipped a blue not too long ago, and they have a Democratic governor. So the fact that Donald Trump is even competitive in Michigan should tell you everything you need to know about the Biden campaign. Pennsylvania, which I would like to remind everyone is basically, according to Joe Biden, like his home away from home, Trump is currently leading 2.3%. which again is within the margin of error. North Carolina, no real big surprise to me there, but Trump is up 5.3%. Nevada, Trump is also up 5.3%. Some of these polls are actually outside of the margin of error. Now, it's too early for polls to mean very much yet, but it does give Republican pollsters and Republican political operatives information on where they need to be spending resources. So as it stands right now, if I were doing this, and at some point I will be, that starts next year, then I would be directing people to be putting resources into places like Wisconsin, where he's only up by 0.1%. Not necessarily saying that I would cut any resources anywhere else, especially since they're up to like a $300 million, bonanza off of this verdict so far. But I would also be putting a lot of resources into Michigan, because those are two places where, Wisconsin and Michigan, the thing about it is, if you go back and you look at the 2020 results, in most places where Biden won, he won by almost the exact number of votes that he needed to be able to win. Now, that is weird enough, if I'm being honest. But it still shows, again, that we don't have national elections in this country. We have regional elections with national consequences. And they figured out in 2020, using a combination of the COVID restrictions, mail-in ballot, things that were changed constitutionally or unconstitutionally in certain states, which have also already been proven, they figured out a way to put their fingers on the scales. This, ladies and gentlemen, is one of the reasons why Donald Trump is being put on trial. They know they can't repeat what happened in 2020 again without anybody noticing. So they were hoping that by making him a convicted felon, that people would be like, we're not really going to vote for that guy anymore. We don't know who we're voting for yet, but we're not really going to vote for that guy anymore. And that's what they were hoping for. That's what they needed to have happen. It's not what's happening. Now, I've said this before, and I'll say it again. 5 months is an eternity in an election cycle. 5 months in an election is like 20 years anywhere else. There's all kinds of daylight between now and November. So the one thing that I will tell you is, even though the Democrats are now starting to try to push the narrative the other way and saying because he's a convicted felon, we know Joe Biden's going to win this thing. For those of you that don't want 4 more years of Biden, do not stay home. You cannot stay home. This is what happened in 2022. This is also partially what happened in 2020. It wasn't really that there was a massive turnout for Joe Biden other than their cheating mechanism. I said what I said. It was that a lot of Republicans stayed home because they were pissed off about COVID and they had Trump fatigue. The thing about it is, ladies and gentlemen, there's going to be a vast difference between 45 term 2 and 45, 46, and then going back to 45, making him 47. Because Joe Biden seemed like the safe bet. The Democrats sold him as America's grandpa. But now, if you're paying attention, you know that the people that are actually running that campaign are Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama. Barack Obama telegraphed it. Somehow we figured it out in 15 and 16, but everybody was so fatigued by 20 that they just didn't care anymore. He told everyone the quiet part out loud. If I can find a way to do this job from my basement and let somebody else be the figurehead, you're damn right I'm going to do it. It's exactly what he wanted to do with Hillary Clinton. This is exactly why the 2 main advisors to the president of the United States right now are Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton, because she has a vendetta and Barack Obama wasn't done with us yet. He ran on the idea of fundamentally transforming America. Sounded like a good idea for the first 5 minutes of his presidency, and then we started figuring out what he meant. And somehow we keep going back to the well with these people, thinking that we're going to actually get it right this time. And I'm saying that about both parties. The one thing that I do love about Donald Trump is he is an agent of chaos. Right now, this country needs chaos. We really do, because we haven't even figured out that nobody that says they're on our side is really on our side. You know how I know that nobody that's really on our side, or that says they're on our side, is really on our side? Because the same people that are now screaming at you from the right about how broken the border was were the same people that weren't letting Donald Trump close the border when he had the chance to close the border. They wanted it open too. You know why they don't want it open anymore? Because heroes of the Republic, like Ron DeSantis and Greg Abbott, showed us how broken our immigration system actually was. Those of us that eat, sleep, and breathe this stuff, we already knew it, but we couldn't get anybody else to see it. They did. They now have people in New York City, the sanctuary city to end all sanctuary cities. There are people that are now screaming to close the border and wanting to turn the city and the state red because of everything that they've seen happen under Joe Biden. In Chicago, Illinois, the same thing is happening right now. You have people that swore they would never vote anything other than blue for any reason at any time, now screaming that they understand that that was the party that was placating them, not actually trying to help them. Now, are these vocal voices people that are just trying to figure out a way to make money now that you can monetize anything and everything, and they're just hoping that something is going to catch fire? Maybe. That's always an outside possibility. That's the problem with making every social media platform one that you can possibly make a living on if one thing or another takes off. They could be telling you what you want to hear in hopes that they get a lot of clicks. I don't think so, though. Not this time. Not for a lot of these people. And I talked about this guy earlier in the week. One of the founders of the Black Panther Party came out and publicly endorsed Donald Trump and said, I've known the man since he was in college. He was very supportive of what we were trying to do. He gave money to our cause. He helped the African American community, and I watched him do it. I was there when he got an award from Jesse Jackson for his philanthropy in the African American community, and you guys can call him whatever names you want. I know better. And that's just the truth of where we are right now. We have, and I've said this all week, we have a group of people that hate a certain man so much that they are, especially after what we've seen in Normandy this week, they hate a certain man so much that they are willing to watch another man go through what anyone else would consider elder abuse, all in the hopes of keeping him away from the White House again. Because he's going to broke what they have in place. It's not because they're terrified that he's actually going to be a dictator. It's because they're terrified that we're going to figure out that they've actually been the ones being the dictator. And by them, I don't mean Joe Biden. I mean the people that are handling Joe Biden. We've gone over them. And I also mean the administrative state. Why do you think Joe Biden went through the process to shore up the administrative state in case he loses? Because those are the people that are actually in charge. That's the scariest thing that I can't seem to make anyone understand. You show me who you can't fire, and I will show you who's actually in charge. That should terrify everyone in the context of what we're talking about today. All right, so we're going to take our top of the hour break because we're going to try to get back on track, even though we were a little bit late. I skipped 2 breaks to try to make up for it, so we're going to come back in just a moment with top of the hour, keep things rolling, and probably start off with another This Week in Democracy because we've got a bunch of them. I may save one of them for Sunday night because if I do all, there's 2 left, and if I do both, then we won't have much show left. So I may save one for Sunday night just for fun. Anyway, let me get this queued up here. Yeah, you know what? I kind of like this song. We're going to break with this one. If y'all don't like it, start your own show. And before anybody yells at me, I do have music licensing, so meh. Anyway, we'll be right back. You're listening to The Rick Robinson Show, live right here on KLRNradio.com. Hope everybody's having a great Friday. For those of you working for the weekend, if you're on the East Coast, you got about an hour, so you're nearly there. Although, when I did the whole 8 to 5 Monday through Friday thing, I sadly discovered I liked Friday a lot more than I even liked Saturday, because by Saturday my weekend was already half over. Yes, I'm Eeyore from Winnie the Pooh. I'm aware. We'll be right back. Stay tuned.
Don't let the days go by. Could have been easier on you. I couldn't change, though I wanted to. Should have been easier, the 3, our old friend Phil and you and me.
You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign. KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
Hi, I'm Mike, founder of DollarShaveClub.com. What is DollarShaveClub.com? Well, for $1 a month, we send high-quality razors right to your door. Yeah, $1. Are the blades any good? No. Our blades are f***ing great. Each razor has stainless steel blades, an aloe vera lubricating strip, and a pivot head. It's so gentle a toddler could use it. And do you like spending $20 a month on brand name razors? 19 go to Roger Federer. I'm good at tennis.
And do you think your razor needs a vibrating handle, a flashlight, a back scratcher, and 10 blades? Your handsome-ass grandfather had one blade and polio. Looking good, Pop-Up! Stop paying for shave tech you don't need. And stop forgetting to buy your blades every month. Alejandro and I are going to ship them right to you. We're not just selling razors, we're also making new jobs. Alejandro, what were you doing last month?
Not working.
What are you doing now?
Working.
I'm no Vanderbilt, but this train makes hay. So stop forgetting to buy your blades every month and start deciding where you're going to stack all those dollar bills I'm saving you. We are DollarShaveClub.com, and the party is on.
I know karate, I know jiu-jitsu, I drive like a gangster when I'm coming to see you, see you.
Hi, everyone. This is JJ, the co-founder of Good Pods. If you haven't heard of it yet, Good Pods is like Goodreads or Instagram, but for podcasts. It's new, it's social, it's different, and it's growing really fast. There are more than 2 million podcasts, and we know that it is impossible to figure out what to listen to. On Good Pods, you follow your friends and podcasters to see what they like. That is the #1 way to discover new shows and episodes. You can find Good Pods on the web or download the app. Happy listening.
Celebrity designer Jeff Lewis is back with Hollywood House Lift.
I'm excited to be working with new clients.
I'm not getting rid of that.
I hope I never see you both again.
An all-new season.
Those have to go. That has to go.
From oh, wow,
It's been an actual nightmare.
to oh, wow.
This is such an upgrade.
With celebrities like Josh Duhamel, Christina Ricci, and Gina Rodriguez.
Dazzle me, Jeff.
It looks like Chuck E. Cheese.
Stream an all-new season of Hollywood House Lift with Jeff Lewis, now streaming on FriYay.
I am Conor McGregor, multiple weight MMA champion. I'm a fighter and I've been through many battles in the octagon. Many consider my fights in the octagon heroic, but the real life heroes are those men and women who fight to protect us every day. The real life fighters, the real life heroes, are the firefighters and police officers. These first responders are true heroes because these brave men and women put themselves in the line of danger every single day protecting us all. The Tunnel to Towers Foundation ensures that first responders from fire, EMS and police departments who are killed in the line of duty with young children have a home without the burden of a mortgage. They are my heroes. They need our help today. I'd like to ask you to join me in donating $11 a month to support their efforts. Your $11 a month honours and supports our first responders. Please call now at 1-844-BRAVEST or visit tunneltotowers.org.
My son was in the Army back during Desert Storm, but even then he wanted an MBA. He looked at a dozen schools, but only one offered the online education and flexibility he needed while he was in a tent in Iraq, Grantham University. Turns out that Grantham's been delivering affordable, relevant college and advanced degrees for over 65 years. Heck, if they can deliver a quality education to a soldier in a tent overseas, think about the flexibility Grantham can offer you so you can earn your degree too. It doesn't matter how complicated or full your life is, if getting a degree is on your bucket list, you'll want to do what my son did. You'll want to call Grantham. Find out how easy it is to get started on your education so you can check that college degree off your bucket list. Call Grantham right now, 800-910-1370. That's 800-910-1370. Flexible, affordable, relevant. Call 800-910-1370.
Attention business owners and independent contractors. This is a money-saving message from Tax Mediation Services. If your business owes $20,000 or more in taxes, we can help you today, right now. Listen, dealing with the IRS is no picnic. It's an intimidating and extremely stressful process, and you don't want to go it alone. Our attorneys know every law, every tax break, and every possible opportunity to help you resolve and reduce your tax debt. And if you owe more than $20,000, $20,000, you may be at the top of their hit list. So don't take your tax debt lightly, because it will not go away on its own. The IRS can seize your bank accounts, your home, and even shut down your business. Call our tax experts today at 1-800-783-0810 and let us deal with the IRS while you focus on your business. That's 1-800-783-0810. Again, that's 800-783-0810.
The following program contains coarse language and adult themes. Listener discretion is advised.
Welcome back into the Rick Robinson Show, the Friday edition, or as I like to call it, the FriYay edition. Again, those of you working towards the weekend, if you do the whole Monday through Friday thing, you're nearly there. So, yeah, anyway. Especially if you're doing the whole 8 to 5 thing on the East Coast, you got less than an hour. God's time zone, Central, you got about a little less than 2. West Coast, why the hell haven't you moved yet? Because you have forever. And Mountain, nobody cares. All right, anyway, so we're back. We're live. And again, hope everybody is having a great Friday, because we are finally here. I have to say, we are finally here. So yay for y'all, because I work all the damn time. Oh, anyway, if you aren't aware of this yet, if you're tuning in for the first time, make sure you go check out Twitchy. That is actually one of the folks that I write for. Also, go check out the Loftus Party. That is also somewhere that I write for, and I'm also the executive producer of his weekly podcast. And make sure you check out Misfits Politics, which will be live and playing on Twitter tonight while I am doing a Dude Bro show with, it looks like, Mickey and Andrew and anybody else that wants to pop in, because Aggie is off doing Aggie stuff and will not be available for the regular He Said, She Said program. So we're preempting and doing some Friday free-for-all kind of stuff. We may even, if Mickey shows up, he may get roasted a little bit because he just got married this past few days. And, of course, it's fun. Anyway, so make sure you guys are back for that, 8:30 p.m. Eastern. That'll conclude our broadcast day when that ends. And then I'll be back tomorrow night doing Juxtaposition with my good friend Ordnance J. Packard. We kicked that off at 10 p.m. Eastern. That is our love letter to Art Bell's version of Coast to Coast, because George Norrie can suck it. I said what I said. And then America Off the Rails, 10 p.m. Eastern on Sunday nights. Monday I will be off. It is my one Monday a month that I don't do anything because I have other things I have to do. And I usually pack them into one day and run around like a crazy person so I can spend the rest of the time hanging out with you guys. And then I'll be back Tuesday doing this one, 3 p.m., 5 p.m. Eastern. Most of the time it's Monday through Friday between the hours of 3 p.m., 5 p.m. Eastern. Sometimes a little later because we have technical issues. I am my own producer, sound engineer, and host, so occasionally if things seem like they're going a little slowly, it's because I'm the one currently pushing all the buttons. But now that we are growing, I'm considering having one of my children help me and paying them to do so we can keep growing, because at some point I'm going to have to get things buttoned up even more, because I have aspirations. I'm going to take over the world. I'm just saying. All right, so before we get into the next part of things, I do have to take things local for just a second. I don't remember if I did this or not, and I don't think I did. Want to give a huge shout out to the OU softball team who just won their 4th World Championship. Go Sooners. I should have actually queued the fight song up and didn't do it. That's all right. That's all right. What makes it even better? I love you, Jen, if you're listening, but they beat Texas to do it. All right, so we are going to change gears here. Going to get into the next installment of This Week in Democracy, and I've decided to save the other one for Sunday night because it kind of dovetails into what I'm going to be talking some about on Sunday night anyway. And if we go long Sunday night, that's okay because it's Sunday night. What the hell? But anyway, so we're going to get that queued up and make sure you guys can see it and then hit the button. Except I think the site's still muted because I was trying to get it queued up without you guys being able to hear it, and it was. So here we go.
6-year-old guy sat behind his father where he gave a speech on the New York criminal conviction against Donald Trump. And just watch for a second. Let this sink in. There he is, a running commentary, perhaps.
Ain't nothing changed, nothing new here to see. This ain't nothing but some political maneuvering. America. Welcome to the eulogy, eat it up. It's called political buffoonery.
Hey there, everybody, and welcome to This Week in Dumb-mocracy, where we normally showcase some of the dumbest newsmakers of the week. But not today, folks. Today is too important. There's been too much of a development that happened, and it's not the normal rancor between the left and the right. It's not talking about Donald Trump or Joe Biden, or the latest committee hearing where there was a moment with questioning, or who owned who in what debate or whatnot. No, today is too important for that. I'm asking for bipartisan support. Let us come together in recognition of the birth of a legend in making in political circles. And I'm not talking about Congressman Rose here that's on the left from Tennessee. I'm sure he's a great guy and all that. I'm talking
about
you
may have just heard me snort laugh a little bit. My apologies.
On the political horizon. Meet Guy Rose. He's 6 years old, and he has taken Washington, D.C. by storm. We're going to be talking about this wonderful moment that happened this week in politics that really should bring us all together. But before we do that, please subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of the shows. And if you like what you're seeing here in this video, and honestly, when you watch this video, how could you not like it? And how could you not smash that thumbs up button? How could you not like, share, comment on this video, all that stuff? Because it feeds the YouTube algorithm.
What? Feed me! Okay.
But also because it's just going to be so gosh darn cute. Congressman John Rose brought his son to work this week, and he was giving a speech on the floor of the House, one of the most hollow grounds in our nation. It's basically holy ground when it comes to politics, right? But when this future legend, this wonderful 6-year-old, is on the floor of the House, no one's paying attention to politics because all eyes are on him. Apparently, for Congressman John Rose, it was Bring Your Son to Work Day at the House of Representatives. And wouldn't you know it, he was giving a speech on the floor to talk about Donald Trump and his convictions in New York and lawfare and the unequal administration of justice and all this important stuff that we've been talking about for weeks now.
Boring!
Frankly, I'm tired of the noise of it. But you know what? Every politician's got to make their speech on it. They got to be heard about it. And just like any other representative, Congressman Rose is speaking to bunkum, as they say. He's speaking to his home district, getting on the record, talking about what happened with this Trump trial and his opinion about all the lawfare concerning Donald Trump. Luckily, we don't have to listen to it necessarily because Guy, the man, the myth, the legend, is here to save us from these politics.
Mr. Speaker, I rise today to address the terrible precedent set in our country 4 days ago. using the justice system to engage in a politically driven prosecution.
There he goes. He's cheesing it. I love it.
Major political party nominee running.
You know, with legends like Guy, you got to know where the camera is at all times. And look at him. He's getting into frame. He's trying to get front and center. He's got the best smile ever. Oh, he's just cheesing it like no one else. He's made for the camera, isn't he?
Regardless of one's opinion of the current Republican nominee, we'd be well served to remember the...
Oh, you gotta love it. I'm sure Congressman Rose has no idea what's going on behind him. But how could you not love this kid? I mean, I'm sure there are some purists that out there that are going to be saying, well, how could you let a small child on the floor of the House of Representatives? It's hallowed ground. This is where we handle our serious business, the business of the nation. We don't have time for this antics, these fun and frivolity.
We've got to protect our phony baloney job, gentlemen. We must do something about this immediately. Harumps.
And I say to all you out there, screw you. Have you seen our Congress lately? I'm sure you have. There have been worse displays on the floor of the House in this session than we've seen in years, decades. I think the House of Representatives can sustain a little boy mugging for the camera and making some faces.
Long and cherished tradition we have in this country of settling our political differences at the ballot box.
You gotta love it,
for
man.
Nearly 2.5 centuries.
You know what, Guy? I'm just as bored with the speeches as you are right there, my friend. And many of us are as well. You know what? Guy is all of us right now. This 6-year-old is encapsulating a lot of our frustrations, a lot of our boredom with today's political climate. I am so here for this. This is too cute. It's beyond words.
Our nation's elected leaders have
I think he's getting an idea, though.
The temptation
You can see it.
to oppose their political rivals through the weaponization of our justice system. Equal justice for all, and an overall trust in our justice system.
Hey, what you doing there, Guy? Couple hand signals there? Is this some Illuminati stuff that's going on here?
I think he's trying to tell us something, Robin.
Luckily, we don't have to speculate, because not only is this legend a rock star on the floor of the House, he's also a media darling, and he made time in his busy schedule for an interview with CNN.
Oh, hey there. Did you know that every time you check your email, an e-farmer generates a profit? E-farmers generate income by sending out special emails, and when people who receive those emails open and click on them, e-farmers generate income. That's right. Yes, this is a real thing, and it is actually a much easier and faster way to generate earnings than building an e-commerce business or an Amazon store. If you'd like to find out how to generate a rewarding income from the comfort of your home, you have to check out e-farming. Click on this ad because it's one of the most rewarding side hustles right now. Forget about drop shipping, becoming a social media influencer, building websites, and publishing books or blogs. Anyone can get involved in the e-farming process because it's super simple. And nothing is required except a laptop or similar device that sends and receives emails. Being an e-farmer isn't only incredibly rewarding. It comes with a bunch of other perks too, like the ability to just get on a plane and take off to Costa Rica or Mexico anytime you feel like it. With e-farming, you can enjoy the freedom and independence you've always wanted because you don't have annoying commitments that tie you down. There are no clients to look after, no deadlines or commutes. You don't have to pick up the phone or get on a Zoom meeting. You can set your own hours and there's no boss to tell you what to do. Click on this ad and watch the controversial video on the next page to see and understand the 3-step e-farming system used by all of these people to escape the rat race. If you've ever wanted a side hustle that doesn't feel like work, doesn't require a PhD in rocket science to figure out, then don't let this opportunity slip through your fingers. Click now and watch the video on the next page to see it for yourself.
Like what you see so far? Go ahead and smash that thumbs up button. Also, leave us a comment and tell us what you're thinking. And don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another show. Now, I can already hear you political purists out there. What are you thinking showing CNN right now, Gene? I thought you were conservative.
It's a rhino! Come on!
Yeah, I'm a conservative, but can we just take the political hats off just for one video? Let's enjoy this as Americans. This is something we can all relate to. We can all relate to a little relative, whether it be a son, a nephew, whatever. Just acting like this behind your back, giving everybody a good laugh. You don't know what's going on. And then when you do know what's going on, you just got to join in and laugh with it. There's nothing more American than this father-son relationship, except this is happening on the floor of the House. So we got to know what's going on here. And luckily we have this interview with CNN to just relive the moment and get deeper into the moment and this relationship between what looks to be a wonderful father and son.
Congressman John Rose and Guy. And Congressman, I note that you have your son in front of you this time as opposed to behind you. Why?
Good tip from you, I think. That's probably where I need to keep him going forward. But I had told him before I gave this speech, I said, his 3-year-old brother, Sam, is back at home. And I said, you should smile for Sam while we're on the camera. And he took that a little further than I expected.
Kids, right? You got to love it. He was making faces to entertain his baby brother. It doesn't get any better than this in politics. This is one of those rare moments where we can all relate to each other, right? This is one of those rare moments in politics where we're not at each other's throats over the latest issue or controversy or concern or election or whatever. This is what we're about. This is what I think anyone in the world can relate to this. A little boy looking to impress his baby brother, getting on TV, having the time of his life. It's awesome.
I just want to confirm, Guy, can you hear us too? Uh-huh. Okay, good. What did you think walking into that big room and what Dad told you when you're going to be sitting there?
Oh. Tell him what you thought. You can say it out loud. What did you think?
I didn't hear them.
They asked you what you thought when you walked into the House chamber yesterday.
Good.
You know what? This is a classic moment as well. The kids are always so rambunctious around you in private, and then when they get in public, or you want to show them off or showcase them in some way, they clam right up. You had to have experienced this in your life, whether you were the kid or the adult. Maybe you've experienced it on both sides, but classic stuff here. I've never been happier making a video. I don't know if you can tell. This is just the heartbeat of America here, right? This is what we're all about, and we forget this in politics in looking at these videos and the controversies and all the shenanigans and buffoonery that I like to talk about here. This is what it's all about. This is what both sides are fighting for, right? We want to preserve this for future generations, these interactions, these moments, this beautiful life that we're seeing on display here.
What were you thinking about telling Sam?
Sam?
Did you spell his name with your hands?
Yeah.
Oh, is that what he was doing? Is that what everyone was like making jokes of, like this? There's a conspiracy theory of what he was doing with his hands. Oh, I'm loving that.
Yeah,
I thought it was just new dance moves.
That's very good.
Sam.
Congressman, by the way, that's impressive just in and of itself right there. I enjoy that.
So it was a secret coded message. This just wasn't for the nation. It was for Sam.
Eureka!
How is your heart not bursting at this stuff? If you're not enjoying this, you have no heart. I'm calling it right now. You're a heartless politico who doesn't know how to have fun.
What did Sam think of what you did in Congress?
Did Sam tell him, talk to him?
He thought it was good.
He did think it was good. Congressman, this is also proving anytime I bring my children to repeat anything they just told me in private in public, this is exactly what happened. So I'm so glad we were connected on this front. When did you realize, Congressman, that your son had stolen the show, and you now need to go back to the House floor and remake your remarks because no one was listening. When did you have any clue this was going on behind you?
I didn't have a single clue, and not until I was walking off the floor, one of the floor managers said, "You're probably going to want to watch that video when you get back to your office." And when I saw it, then I knew at least there was going to probably be some reaction. I had no idea it would be as extensive as it has been.
Guy, I think you can make even better faces than the ones you made on the House floor. I was impressed, but what other faces can you do?
You got any other faces, buddy?
I mean,
a lot of others. I can't show them all, okay?
Yeah, he can't just unveil the entire repertoire here. He's got to save some stuff for the kitchen table or for the living room or for when relatives come over. CNN, you're getting greedy. You can't just get the entire Guy package. You can't do it. It's too much for you, frankly. You shouldn't ask for any more than that. But you know what? Guy, being the legend that he is, he's going to give us a couple more.
Let's get one for them.
You want me to show one of them I've already done, or do you want to show me a new one?
You're the king. You choose.
He knows. He knows that he's got everybody in the palm of his hands right now, and he's like, you want to go back and do classic Guy, or you want new school? I love it.
Maybe
Let's go new.
We want new material. Congressman, is this a daily occurrence in your household?
It's usually pretty active. Sam and Guy can be pretty rambunctious kids, but they're pretty good kids.
Of course they are. Look, let's be honest. He could have been a lot worse sitting behind you than making faces. I mean, how could you make him come and sit in the chamber? The other members fall asleep having to do that, Congressman. You're mean.
It could have been a lot worse. Could have been Marjorie Taylor Greene, for all we know. It could have been Jerry Nadler just going on, droning on and on and on. It could have been Ilhan Omar screaming at the top of her lungs, or Jamal Bowman pulling a fire alarm. Could have been any number of things. This is probably the best thing to happen to this Congress in a good long time. This is something I think can get bipartisan support. I say Guy for Congress. Let's change the law. Let's lower the age restriction, and let's get this young man into a congressional seat. I guarantee you what he will create out of that seat, what laws he'll create, will be none worse than what we're currently getting from the current Congress.
He did take a power nap after his newfound fame arrived yesterday.
Could you blame him?
How has Guy prepared you for dealing with your fellow members of Congress?
Well, you point out or you make a good point, which is that sometimes children can be very reflective of what adults really end up doing too. So maybe his antics are not that far out of place on the House floor.
I mean, he had the common sense enough not to try to remove the speaker. So he's already a step up on a lot of people there.
And also a reminder of, no matter where you land on any political spectrum, we all have kids that are really good at embarrassing us and putting us in our place.
Amen to that, and I'm sure a lot of you would agree with me when you say you wouldn't want it any other way. Don't hang around for any sanctimonious lecture about proper governance. There's not going to be any mockery or pointing and laughing at any politician here. We're not owning the lefties. We're not defending anybody on the right. We're all just going to hold our glasses high and make a toast to Guy Rose, our newest rock star. May he stay as far away from politics as possible for the rest of his life. He certainly had his moment. Let him go off on a high note.
To the king!
To the king! But listen, that's just my opinion on this whole situation. I freaking love this, in case you couldn't tell throughout the video. I want to know your reactions to young Guy here and his antics on the House floor. Let's talk about it in the comments. And as always, like and share the show with your friends. Subscribe to the channel. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss any of the shows. We're going to get back to political buffoonery and all the shenanigans in the next video. But for now, let's just bask in this moment of unification while we all salute the legend Guy Rose, because tomorrow we're back at it talking about all the shenanigans and buffoonery happening this week in Dumb-mocracy.
All views and opinions expressed here are not necessarily of the mainstream media and may offend some listeners. It's called political buffoonery.
All right, and for those of you listening along on K-Line Radio and Live 365, don't forget you can always check out Gene's book, Schnooks, Crooks, Liars, and Scoundrels, available on Amazon right now. All right, so we're going to take a really quick break. I was going to try to avoid doing this, but don't really have a choice. Got to get some things queued up for the last segment of the show. So this will be a shorter break than top of the hour, but we are still going to take one, so hang out for just a second. This goes out to a certain troll, and they know who they are. Because he seems to think that I'm unsuccessful and should find a job. You are listening to The Rick Robinson Show, live right here on KLRNradio.com. We'll be back to finish off the Friday edition on the other side of the break. Don't go too far. Or if you do, get up, stretch your legs, grab a drink, maybe smoke a little bit of whatever helps you think, unless you're working. But then again, even if you are, I'm not your boss and I don't judge. Be right back.
You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign. KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
Hi, I'm Mike, founder of DollarShaveClub.com. What is DollarShaveClub.com? Well, for $1 a month, we send high-quality razors right to your door. Yeah, $1. Are the blades any good? No. Our blades are f***ing great. Each razor has stainless steel blades, an aloe vera lubricating strip, and a pivot head. It's so gentle a toddler could use it. And do you like spending $20 a month on brand name razors? 19 go to Roger Federer. I'm good at tennis.
And do you think your razor needs a vibrating handle, a flashlight, a back scratcher, and 10 blades? Your handsome-ass grandfather had 1 blade and polio. Looking good, Pop-Up! Stop paying for shave tech you don't need. And stop forgetting to buy your blades every month. Alejandro and I are going to ship them right to you. We're not just selling razors, we're also making new jobs. Alejandro, what were you doing last month?
Not working.
What are you doing now?
Working.
I'm no Vanderbilt, but this train makes hay. So stop forgetting to buy your blades every month and start deciding where you're going to stack all those dollar bills I'm saving you. We are DollarShaveClub.com, and the party is on.
Hi, everyone. This is JJ, the co-founder of Good Pods. If you haven't heard of it yet, Good Pods is like Goodreads or Instagram, but for podcasts. It's new, it's social, it's different, and it's growing really fast. There are more than 2 million podcasts, and we know that it is impossible to figure out what to listen to. On Good Pods, you follow your friends and podcasters to see what they like. That is the #1 way to discover new shows and episodes. You can find Good Pods on the web or download the app. Happy listening.
Celebrity designer Jeff Lewis is back with Hollywood House Lift.
I'm excited to be working with new clients.
I'm not getting rid of that.
I hope I never see you both again.
An all-new season.
Those have to go. That has to go.
From oh, wow,
It's been an actual nightmare.
to oh, wow.
This is such an upgrade.
With celebrities like Josh Duhamel, Christina Ricci, and Gina Rodriguez. Dazzle me, Jeff.
It looks like Chuck E. Cheese.
Stream an all-new season of Hollywood House Lift with Jeff Lewis, now streaming on FriYay.
I am Conor McGregor, multiple weight MMA champion. I'm a fighter and I've been through many battles in the octagon. Many consider my fights in the octagon heroic, but the real life heroes are those men and women who fight to protect us every day. The real life fighters, the real life heroes, are the firefighters and police officers. These first responders are true heroes because these brave men and women put themselves in the line of danger every single day protecting us all. The Tunnel to Towers Foundation ensures that first responders from fire, EMS and police departments who are killed in the line of duty with young children have a home without the burden of a mortgage. They are my heroes. They need our help today. I'd like to ask you to join me in donating $11 a month to support their efforts. Your $11 a month honours and supports our first responders. Please call now at 1-844-BRAVEST or visit tunneltotowers.org.
The following program contains coarse language and adult themes. Listener discretion is advised.
You are listening to The Rick Robinson Show live on KLRNradio.com. We are America's Podcast Network.
Welcome to the jungle. We got fun and games. We got everything you want. How do we know the names? We are the people that can find whatever you may need. If you got the money, honey, we got your disease. In the jungle. Welcome.
And welcome back into the final segment of the Friday edition of the Rick Robinson Show live right here on KLRNradio.com. Again, we usually do this thing every Monday through Friday between the hours of 3 p.m., 5 p.m. Eastern. However, I will be off Monday, so as far as this show goes, I will be back with you Tuesday, same time, same channel. Also, I'll be back tonight doing a Dude Bro Show edition of the Friday show, which we usually do with Aggie Rican. I have been filling in for Mickey Blowtorch, who's been on extended hiatus. We may have actually dragged him back for a Dude Bro, though. So far, I have he as a possible and Andrew confirmed. We're trying to see who else we might be able to bring in to do a Friday free-for-all edition of the Dude Bro Show live right here on KLRNradio.com, which involves usually titties and beer. So make sure you hang out for that. Anyway, so don't have much time left, but I do want to get to a couple of stories that I had today. This one is more of a just to kind of show you that the world has always been a cruel and unusual place for those with differences, which I had been reminded of today by a troll because I'm disabled. I don't talk about it much, but I also don't hide it either. There are reasons why I'm disabled. I'm not going to go into the entire story, but I have a lazy eye and I also have a limp. So I have glasses on my profile pic currently, but I've not always had them on there. And I didn't put that picture up because I'm ashamed of the fact that I have a lazy eye. I could have had surgery to correct the lazy eye, but because I've actually had a couple of different surgeries that I didn't live through, literally, I'm still here, but I died on the table, not once, but twice. I decided I wasn't doing surgeries anymore, so I've just decided to live with it. Kind of the same reason why I have some of the other things that I have going on. Those of you that have been listening for a long time, you know what those stories are, and I'm not going through them again. But this kind of brought this back to the forefront. One, because it's the anniversary of Normandy, and it's been a big deal all week. And two, it brought something to a couple of different things to my attention that I didn't really know. I mean, I knew part of this, but so for those of you who don't know, because you probably never saw it, James Doohan was actually in Normandy. the guy that played Scotty on Star Trek The Next Generation, he lost a finger on his left hand. But you would have never known it if you've ever seen him on TV. Because he was self-conscious about it, and also the people in charge of the show didn't want him to be seen differently. They made sure that that hand was never in frame. So just to make sure that we're on the same page, I'm going to kind of go through this real quick. So on Star Trek, the original series, few characters were quite as memorable as Scotty, the engineer, miracle worker, played to perfection by James Doohan. Over the course of that show, 7 movies and one TNG episode, we saw Scotty as a hero in times of peace and in times of war. However, few fans know the incredible fact that James Doohan was a real-life war hero long before appearing in Star Trek, and he even lost a finger in the line of duty. Just how the heck did James Doohan become a war hero and lose his finger? Like many famous faces in Star Trek, including franchise icon William Shatner, the actor is originally from Canada, what are you talking about, and enlisted in the Royal Canadian Artillery in 1939. The future actor apparently did well in the service and was promoted to lieutenant by 1940, but he wouldn't become a bona fide war hero until a few years later. Eventually, Doohan was sent to Britain to train for Operation Overlord, which was the code name for the Battle of Normandy. When the time came, he was right in the thick of things and made a combat landing on Juno Beach on D-Day. After surviving the landing, James Doohan took out 2 snipers and led his men through a field of anti-tank mines, but in an incredibly dark bit of irony, it wasn't even the enemy who would cause him to lose a finger. After all of that, Doohan's men took defensive positions for the evening, and at 11:30 p.m., 23:30 for you military types, he tried to cross between command posts. At this point, Doohan encountered someone who almost brought his illustrious military career to an end along with his life. The person in question was a trigger-happy Canadian sentry. Fuck Canada. Just saying. And Doohan's countryman unloaded a Bren gun thinking he was shooting an enemy creeping around in the dark. The sentry might not have had the best aim, but when you're firing a machine gun in the dead of the night, the spray and pray method is surprisingly effective. James Doohan took 6 bullets that night, 4 to his leg, 1 to his finger, and 1 to his chest. As you've probably surmised, the finger that was hit by the bullet ultimately had to be amputated. While the Scotty actor would certainly have preferred to avoid amputation, James Doohan was lucky to only lose a finger that night. Remember that bullet that he took to the chest? The only thing that stopped that bullet and most likely saved his life was a silver cigarette case that was a gift from his brother, who said smoking doesn't save lives. At this point, you're probably asking how the heck you've never noticed James Doohan's missing finger in all of those hours of iconic TV and movie appearances. The truth is that he simply hid it, which was sometimes as easy as keeping parts of his hand out of frame while filming. Other times, the actor wore a flesh-colored glove that kept most people watching him on screen from noticing that one of the fingers inside was secretly missing. Considering what an affable and outgoing character he played on screen, it's genuinely surprising that this Star Trek legend was a war hero who fought in one of the darkest and most important battles in modern history. This goes to show that fans can go ahead and forget the warp core and dilithium crystals when it comes to real-life combat and fighting for a better world. The man who would play Scotty taught entirely different lessons about giving it all she's got, Captain. That was my slide. I kind of almost slid into the Scotty accent, then realized I was trying to do it and stopped. So if it sounded weird, that's why. I'm giving her all she's got, Captain. Anyway, sorry. When it was first announced that... Hang on. I think we scrolled into a different article and didn't realize it. All right, so that's one hit that I wanted to do that was Normandy related. The other one, I consider myself a history buff, and somehow I didn't know this. Well, I knew part of it. I knew Teddy Roosevelt had a son named Teddy Roosevelt Jr. I wasn't aware that he was the highest-ranking military officer to storm Normandy. Did anybody else not know that? Is it just me? I'm just trying to figure out if this is one of those Mandela effect things that Orty and I talk about all the time. because I get really weirded out when there's things about history that I didn't know, because I am an avid history nerd. But I'm going to assume for the moment that it's not a Mandela effect and just assume that it's something that I didn't ever come around to reading. All right, at 56, President Theodore Roosevelt's son was the oldest soldier deployed during the same operation that we were discussing a moment ago, Operation Warlord, and the highest-ranking American to storm the beaches. We'll start the war off from right here. Brigadier General, for those of you who don't know, that's a 1-star, Theodore Roosevelt Jr. purportedly declared as his Higgins landing craft drifted about a mile from its target destination on Utah Beach the morning of June 6th, 1944, during the invasion of Normandy. At the age of 56, Roosevelt, the son of President Theodore Roosevelt, was not only the oldest soldier deployed during Operation Overlord, but the highest-ranking American figure to storm the beaches. He did so, again, this is the part that really amazed me, he did so with only a cane and a pistol. A veteran of the First World War, Roosevelt was among the first American doughboys to land in France in 1918, seeing action during the Battle of Cantigny, re-enlisting at the outbreak of World War II. Roosevelt led our amphibious assaults from Operation Torch, the invasion of North Africa, to fighting on the beaches of Sicily and in the mountains of Italy. Well-liked and respected by his men, Roosevelt had to campaign hard, however, to deploy during the invasion of Normandy. His superior officer, Major General Raymond Tubby Barton, initially rejected Roosevelt's request to enter the European theater and lead the 4th Infantry Division, 8th Infantry Regiment, into combat. In a personal letter to Barton dated May 26, 1944, Roosevelt pleaded his case in 7 succinct bullet points, noting that I personally know both officers and men of these advanced units and believe that it will steady them to know that I am with them. Barton eventually relented. Amid withering fire from German coastal installations, machine gun nests, and densely packed minefields lining Utah Beach, Roosevelt remained a calm figure, guiding successive waves of scrambling soldiers to the beachhead. He was undeniably old-fashioned, undeniably true, and undeniably the last of his father's Rough Riders, wrote Tim Brady in His Father's Son, The Life of General Ted Roosevelt Jr. According to the American Legion, Roosevelt continued to befuddle the enemy as he limped back and forth to the Higgins boats, walking stick in hand to keep the men moving. A sergeant from the 8th recalled encountering Roosevelt on the beach with a cane in one hand, a map in the other, walking around as if he was looking over some real estate. By the end of the day, the 4th Infantry was able to penetrate inland 6 miles, and of the 21,000 troops that landed there were only 197 casualties. Roosevelt's own son, Quentin II, was among the first wave to land at Omaha Beach, making them the only father and son duo to come ashore on D-Day. Quentin survived the war only to die in a plane crash in China in 1948. Tragically, 5 weeks after the D-Day landing, the beloved general died suddenly from a heart attack. 3 months later, for his cool valor under fire, Roosevelt was posthumously awarded the Congressional Medal of Honor. His citation reads, he repeatedly led groups from the beach over the seawall and established them inland. His valor, courage, and presence in the very front of the attack and his complete unconcern at being under heavy fire inspired the troops to heights of enthusiasm and self-sacrifice. Although the enemy had the beach under constant direct fire, Brigadier General Roosevelt moved from one locality to another, rallying men around him, directed and personally led them against the enemy. Under his seasoned, precise, calm, and unfaltering leadership, assault troops reduced beach strongpoints and rapidly moved inland with minimum casualties. He thus contributed substantially to the successful establishment of the beachhead in France. Roosevelt is buried in the Normandy American Cemetery and Memorial. His brother, Quentin, who was killed in World War I, was moved to rest beside Roosevelt and remains the only World War I soldier buried on those hallowed grounds. So you might be asking yourself why I've decided to end the show with those two stories. One, they're relevant because those are things that everybody's been talking about today, and Biden keeps trying to, this week and today, and Biden keeps trying to make everything about him, much like him stealing some of Reagan's speech and trying to make it his own, which happened again today. The other reason is because as I've become more and more of a public figure, I have more and more people that come at me and say, well, you can't do these things, and you're not as good at these things as you think you are, and your station account only has so many followers, and you don't have that many followers, and what do you have, 5 podcast listeners? Ladies and gentlemen, as somebody with disabilities, the reason I'm highlighting these stories is because I know there are other people that are listening to me right now that also have disabilities. Stop letting those define you. It really is that simple. I'm not telling you that you have to wear them like a badge of honor. I half understand why Jimmy Doohan was always trying to hide the fact that he was missing a finger, because the world is a cruel and crazy place. So I'm not telling you to flaunt them. I'm not telling you that you have to be as vocal and outspoken as I am about mine, but I want people to understand that the reason I do what I do is because I'm good at what I do, and I do it in spite of the things that could have stopped me from doing them. That's one of the things that held me back for the longest time, even growing up, because I was born premature and spent a lot of time in the hospital and overcame a whole lot of things just for over the years of life to slowly give a lot of them back to me. So I became self-conscious about a lot of things, and I let that be what defined me from a lot of my early teenage years until I finally just decided that, you know what, I'm going to figure out how to do the things that I want to do anyway. By then I had decided it was something different, but I still figured out how to get it done. But there was always this nagging thing in the back of my mind that I had been called to do something. And for a time, I thought it was being a minister. So even though I have an intense fear of public speaking, yes, I know, irony, I found a way to do it. And I'm still ordained to this day. And then life changed for me yet again. So I took some knowledge that I had learned along the way from time when I carried a badge and a gun and turned that into a private security firm, private investigations firm, and spent that 15 years making money doing that. And then, well, I guess technically it was closer to 11, sorry. And then Obama got elected and my business crashed. So then life changed for me yet again. But the thing that's never changed, no matter where I've been, no matter what I've done, is I'm usually somebody who is good at reaching people. I don't know why it is. I don't know how it is, but it just happens. Everywhere I've ever worked, I have been in a leadership position. Everywhere I've ever worked, I've been one of the people that's been put in charge of coaching or training, because they always just ask me to do it. Is it genetic? I don't know. It could be, because I do have a lot of people in my family that are teachers. So maybe it is something that's just kind of part of our DNA. Because even doing this, I spend a lot of time teaching, whether it's working with other hosts as we bring them on board, helping them grow their show, figuring out what next steps for them are, even as a producer, which is another thing that I do. I do those things all the time. And then there's the coaching that I do and the public speaking that I do. I don't do all of those things because it's, oh, look at me. No, I do those things in spite of me. Because I want people to see exactly how broken I am so that they can see if I can do it, so can they. And this is why I get so pissed off when somebody's taking a victory lap over something, like a friend of mine did last night, who has a lower following account than most that have managed to be able to do it, but has crossed the threshold to be able to get X monetized. He was proud of himself, so he posted, this is what I made off of X this month. And somebody started taking him apart. Well, that's not anything. What are you going to do with that? Buy a cup of coffee? I don't know. I didn't even see the post because he pulled it down. So I have no idea what he made. I didn't ask him. But I do know that he has about half the following that I do and already makes more off of X than I do. And I'm actually trying to monetize it. But one of the reasons that he does that is because he has a very loyal following. And that's what I told him. I said, you never should have taken that down. Because you could have been an inspiration to somebody else who's been trying to figure out how to do it. And they may have asked you, hey, what exactly did you do? And you could have shared that information with them or not. because there are tons of people that are just looking for ways to bring extra pennies in right now because of Joe Biden, because he's destroying the economy. So everything I do is always intended to be an inspiration. I'm not saying it always works. No, I'm not saying there may not be times that I come across like an asshole. But just know that everything that I'm trying to do is because I legitimately am trying to make a difference. And for those of you that want to troll me, whether I have 5 listeners or 5 million listeners, whether I've reached one person or 1 million, if I've impacted one life by doing what I do, then I've already made a difference. And I know I've done that because a friend of mine, unfortunately, we're about to be celebrating the 2nd year of our life without him here in a couple of weeks, told me as much. So, for those of you that think that the only way that you can make a difference is with a huge account and by making everybody notice you, it's not even worth it. Just be you. Be authentically you. That's all you've got to do, and you will make changes. Whether it's one person's life, whether it's 5 people's lives, whether it's 100 lives, it doesn't matter, because every life you touch, every life you change is a ripple in a pond. Because if you change the trajectory of somebody's life, they're going to go out and they're going to change the trajectory of other people's lives. So you don't know the impact that you have. Life is a lot like when you're a famous writer or famous painter or famous poet. Unless you're just somebody in the modern era that can put all their stuff out everywhere and eventually people just notice you, you're not even necessarily going to know the impact that you've had until you're gone. That's one of the reasons why I get so mad about all these posts that are like, I don't dare want to see 5,000 people at my funeral because you don't ever come see me when I'm alive. Don't take that moment from them. Because sometimes you can't see how somebody has impacted your life or changed it until you realize that they're gone. I understand the sentiment behind that post, those posts when I see them, and I really, really do. But don't take that moment from them. The funerals aren't about you. The celebrations of life aren't about you. They're about people learning to cope with your absence and coming together so they can find moments that maybe they didn't know about that other friends of yours knew, that they can then take into their heart and allow them to remember you in a different way. Everything in your life, from the moment you were born till the moment you die, as soon as you are old enough to understand it, should be about making changes in people's lives, not your own. No matter how much money you make, no matter how much success you have, if those are the only things you think about, then eventually you're going to be miserable, and nobody's going to be able to do anything to stop that. Because it's all about you. When you make everything all about you, regardless of whatever your motivation is, everything remains all about you. And when it's all about you, eventually the fanfare is going to fade. The lights are going to go dark, and you're not going to know who you are anymore. There's a reason, especially those of us that believe in the same God that I believe in, are called to die to ourselves and to become selfless. Because if we live only for ourselves, we lose. If we live for others, we win, regardless of the outcome. But on that note, ladies and gentlemen, we are officially out of time, and I'll need to shut things down so I can get things ready for tonight and run a couple of errands. So I will see you guys at 8:30 tonight. Thank you so much for hanging out, whether you've been listening through Live 365, KLRNradio.com, through Spreaker, through Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, wherever you've been listening. Thank you so much for taking the time to spend part of your Friday with me. I'll be back Tuesday doing this and back tonight doing other stuff. So I'll see you guys when I see you.
What? Over? Did you say over? Nothing is over until we decide it is. Was it over when the Germans bombed Pearl Harbor? Hell no!
Closing time. Open all
all the doors and let you out into the woods.
This isn't over until I say it's over!
Closing time.
Well, that's great. That's just fucking great, man. Now what the fuck are we supposed to do? Game over, man. It's game over.
Closing time. Time for you to go out to the places you will be from. Closing time. This room won't be open till your brothers or your sisters come.
I love you, Oklahoma. What a great crowd. I love you.